following show is controversial and contains content you may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised.
98 FM's Dublin Talks. Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
Happy New Year. I wonder what the date is that you can stop saying that. Like, is there a certain time frame that you have to cut off that and say, well, we can't wish people Happy New Year in the middle of February. It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks. This is Jeremy Dixon with you until midday today. It's a brand new year and this is the first show of 2019 of Dublin Talks. I hope you had a great Christmas and a very peaceful new year. It seems like it's been ages since we spoke. And in fact, the last time we spoke, I was out in Clondalkin handing out selection boxes to some of you lucky listeners, and really enjoyed doing that just before Christmas. But we're back. Brand new year, same show. Adrian's off. He always takes this week off, and he's recuperating after his Christmas break and his Christmas holiday. So he'll be back in the hot seat next Monday. So you're stuck with me between now and 12. It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks, the talk and phone-in show for Dubliners, where we discuss and debate the issues of the day with you, the listeners. And we have a lot of stuff to debate between now and the end of the show. Now, the important matters. These things haven't changed. The year may have changed, but this hasn't changed. The ways to contact us, still the same. Text or WhatsApp, 0877 98 98 98. We love to hear from you. Your texts and WhatsApps, they do make the show. You may not think they're important. You know, why would I text a show? That's not important. Yes, it is important. Your feedback and your comments about the stuff we talk about is very important to us. Whether it's serious or whether it's a bit of a laugh, no matter what it is. So you can text or WhatsApp about anything you hear on the show. 0877 98 98 98. Or better still, call us on 6797 981. Now, it's the first show of 2019 for us, and here's what's coming up between now and midday. Facebook is listening to everything you say. Or is it? We'll be exploring one of the biggest conspiracy theories doing the rounds. I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all, but this is one conspiracy that I do believe in, and I have a couple examples of stuff that happened to me over Christmas which made me think Facebook is definitely listening to what I'm saying. We'll be talking to a man who has all the answers to that in about 20 minutes time, and finding out from you, do you believe that Facebook is listening to you? You know, when you could be with your mates and you're talking about going to Australia on your holidays, and then you go onto Facebook and the first 5 ads on Facebook are all about Australia. That can't be just a coincidence. Also, in a moment, New Year's resolutions. Have you made any New Year's resolutions? We'll be talking to people about their struggles to give up smoking and drinking, and finding out, is dry January that good of an idea? Just before 11 o'clock, you may have seen this video. It's on our Facebook page now, facebook.com/Adrian K and Jeremy D. On New Year's Eve, there was mayhem on a bus at Lucan where windows were smashed, passengers were threatened. We'll be finding out, how safe do you feel on public transport, and where are the no-go areas for trains, buses and Lewis trams? Some bus drivers and train drivers have spoken out about this and said that the north side of the city, and in particular along the Dart line past Connolly, is bandit country. That's fairly strong words from train drivers. Bandit country. So we're talking about Kilbarrack, Raheny, Harmonstown, all along that Dart line. We'll be finding out how bad it actually is. Also, after 11 o'clock, a new domestic violence law is coming into effect today. We'll be talking about that, and in particular, the psychological abuse in relationships, and whether or not it's as bad as physical abuse. All that and lots more besides between now and midday. It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks. Happy New Year. I just want to get that out of the way because it is a new year. I hope you had a peaceful 2018, and I hope 2019 brings you all you hope and wish for. Now, the one thing associated with a new year, of course, is resolutions. And a lot of you make resolutions. And do you keep them, or do they last till the end of January? If you've made a New Year's resolution, now a serious New Year's resolution, okay, that you plan on keeping, I want to hear from you. Text or WhatsApp us now. 087 798 98 98. 087 798 98 98. That is the text or WhatsApp number. We want to find out what New Year's resolutions have you made, and do you plan on sticking with them? And I'd also love to talk to people who have given up smoking, not necessarily this year, but have given up smoking in the past. How difficult was it for you? Yeah, our Adrian has, and I can say this, he doesn't mind me saying this, Adrian has tried about 100 times, this is no joke, to give up smoking. And he falls at every hurdle. I don't know why he does. I don't know. Maybe he's just destined never to give up smoking. If you have advice on the best ways to give up smoking, I would love to hear from you. Text or WhatsApp 087 798 98 98. Or better still, call us on 6797 981. And also, is there anybody there who's doing dry January? I'd love to hear from you if you're doing dry January as well. So there's a lot of things you could be giving up. Let's find out what you are giving up. Text or WhatsApp us 087 798 98 98. And sorry, Lauren, your New Year's resolution is one that a lot of people have. It's to get fit and healthy. Is that right?
The usual. Hey, Jeremy. Yeah, well, I used to do a lot of running and I had stopped, so I plan on kind of going back and making sure I get back out and running every day. That's what I love to do, so that's what I want. But my main thing really I wanted to do is to make sure to have, some family time with the kids, even an hour a day, no iPads, no phones, no TV, nothing, just board games or going for walks and fresh air or whatever. And that's what I promised the kids. I would do that with them every day, even if it's just an hour a day, because the day just goes away with you. And
sorry, has that not been happening last year? Did it not happen in 2018?
No, not as much, no, because I work during the day and then when we come home from school, getting the house clean, getting the kids ready, getting everything ready, and just kind of the day goes away from you and you'd be wrecked, so I just promised them, and we did it all over the Christmas and that, and they loved it, so I promised that that's what we would do every day this year, just to make, and that's what they want, that's what they love.
Okay, so health and fitness are a big thing, and then I agree with you completely about the whole family time thing. I think iPads, I think mobile phones, and it's something we may be talking about later on the show. I think it's killing quality time. It really is in houses.
Totally. Like my daughter, I had to keep saying to her, New Year's Eve, put your iPad down. She's just, our head was just glued into the iPad, and it's so annoying. It's so annoying because she just missed out on everything that's going on around her. She's like a zombie, looking at the iPad, But
then, why did you get her an iPad if you knew that was going to be the case?
Oh, that's what kids play with these days, isn't it? So it's just a thing of just limiting her time with it and just making sure she gets out in fresh air and just has her time with her iPad, and then that's it. She's at that age, so it's just limiting her time with her. That's what all the kids, that's what it is, isn't it? iPads and phones.
Yeah,
and
I know. You can't fight the monster, as they say. I mean, our young fella isn't at the stage yet where he's looking for an iPad, thank God. And I don't know what I'm going to do, because I don't want my child, and no disrespect to any other parents who do have iPads for the kids, I don't want my child to become an iPad zombie, where they're just, their head is fixated in it for.
And they don't know how to play. They don't know how to play. Not going out on the road. No, you don't. I didn't see one single child out on the road this Christmas. My little.
That's because it was Baltic on Christmas morning.
It's been lovely over Christmas.
I thought it was freezing. No, but you're right. My house, and when I was growing up, and I don't know how many of you had experienced this. When I was growing up, Christmas morning was always about going out on your new bike. And I remember our road in our estate on Christmas Day would have literally dozens of kids. Some will be on bikes, some will be on rollerblades, some will be on scooters. And you're right, this Christmas Day, and it wasn't anything to do with the weather, this Christmas Day in my estate, there wasn't a whisper on the roads. And I would imagine, you're right, I would imagine it was mostly kids indoors playing on computers.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope you keep up the fitness, and I hope we're not talking to you in 6 months' time to find out you've fallen off the wagon. You don't smoke or anything like that, do you?
No, I don't. I work in a gym as well, so I don't.
Oh, geez, you've no excuse. Yeah.
I have no excuse. I really don't know. So no, I won't. I don't smoke. I very rarely drink. So, food is my only vice, I think. So
okay.
Hopefully.
Well, I wish you the best and the best of luck.
Thanks, Jeremy. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Keep the text coming in. 087 798 98 98. Text or WhatsApp 087 798 98 98. What are your resolutions? Are you making any? And we want to talk to people as well who gave up smoking in the past. This is something I need you to educate me. I need you, the listener, to educate me, because I've never smoked. I've never even taken a drag of a cigarette, believe it or not. I've never smoked. I don't know how difficult it must be to give up smoking. Adrian claims, and I always say this is bullshit, but Adrian has often claimed to me that giving up smoking must be as difficult as giving up heroin. Now, he's never taken heroin, so I don't know how he could compare the two, but he says the addiction is that bad. I've always been the belief that if you want to stop smoking, you just stop smoking and get patches. And with vaping and all available now, surely it's that easy. So I want you to educate me. How difficult is it to give up smoking? Let me know. Text or WhatsApp 087 798 98 98. And to the person who's upset that I called the kids zombies, I'm sorry, that's what they are. That's what kids are going around like nowadays with their iPads. And I know if Santa brought the kids iPads for Christmas, you can't moan in 4 weeks' time when your child has become completely antisocial and won't talk to you, because you've allowed that iPad into the house, and that's what it is. That's what they are. They're zombies. Eddie, how are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Jeremy. You well?
Now your resolution is also like a lot of people. It's to get
it's
get
like
fit.
that lady. It's kind of along the fitness theme. I have an app on my phone, right now. I tried it last year, and I do a lot of walking anyway, and I was good for a point, but then I got a bit lazy. I try and walk 10,000 steps a day. Some days I absolutely smash it.
Sorry, what's that in? Because that means nothing to me.
It's probably about 3.5, 4 miles.
So who deals in miles nowadays? Kilometres. So it's about 6 kilometres, is it?
Yeah. And some days, depending on where I am at work, I will absolutely smash it, and then other days I don't. So when I get to Friday, I think to myself, right, whatever I haven't done on Friday, I'll make up on the weekend on my days off or whatever, and I have to hit the 70,000 mark. Just a little thing I do. And some weeks I get to 90, 100,000. Then other weeks it'll be about 40,000. I go, I've got to make that 30,000 up, and I start to slack. So this year, that's my little thing to myself, because I put on a few little pounds around the belly. Now, look, I'm still a boring hunk of love, you know what I mean? But you can never be not fit enough, you know what I mean?
I stepped on the scales. I step on the scales once a week, and I stepped on the scales there this morning before I left for work, and I'd actually lost weight over Christmas, and I don't know how that's true, because Katie says it doesn't look like it. You're right, Katie, I'm wearing a very tight shirt. No, but I ate 2 boxes of Jacob's Choc Mallows over the Christmas. My wife, I told her not to. I said, don't make a Christmas pudding because it's very fattening. What did she do? She made a Christmas pudding. I ate the whole thing. I've done nothing since the 24th of December yet. Eat.
But that's like everybody does that at Christmas time, you know what I mean?
No, I don't think
you get all the
everybody does.
people. You get all the people now, and they'll be feeling guilty, and they'll sign up for year-long memberships at the gym, and it'll be empty in about 3 weeks' time. You know what I mean? So I don't do anything too extravagant, outlandish claims. That's my little thing for myself. 10,000 steps a day. Normally I'm quite good, but I'm determined, because you can walk yourself fit, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, 6K, and that's more or less what it is. 6K is, I'm just working out, that's up and down Dunleary Pier 12 times.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't think it was...
it is.
You know what I mean? And that only takes me an hour and a half. You know what I mean?
Well, I think, now maybe I'm wrong in my calculations, but I think that's the equivalent of walking up and down Dunleary Pier 12 times. That is a fair walk. So, do you think you'll keep it up?
I'm hoping to. Like, I was out yesterday on New Year's Day. I was actually in bed on New Year's Eve at 10 o'clock asleep, and I got up bright and early yesterday, and I went up to Kiltiernan towards the Lead Mines Trail, Carrigulligan,
It's beautiful up there, yeah.
Lovely, yeah. And you can't beat a bit of fresh air, you know what I mean? And as we're all getting older, you have to look after your health a bit more, Yeah,
so well, the main thing about it, the main thing about a New Year's resolution, you know yourself, is to keep it up. And
well, that's why I didn't go too outlandish and say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, Just something short and steady, and stick to it,
Yeah, well, the best of luck to you. But you don't smoke or anything, do you?
No, I don't smoke. I wouldn't be a big drinker, so.
Well, let me go to Eamon. Eamon, you gave up smoking just before Christmas, is that right?
Yeah, I was on holiday in Thailand, and I've done it a few times. I've given up smoking, and it's a help when you're coming back on the flight. It's so long that it takes about 15 hours.
Well, I've often wondered that about smokers, and I know I've been on flights with Adrian, and I know Adrian gets very jittery before getting on a flight. Never been on a long haul flight with him, but Adrian over Christmas was on a long haul flight, and I'm wondering how he coped with being on a plane for 10 hours when he's a smoker. How do you cope? Because when you arrive at Dublin Airport, you always notice the smokers. They don't even wait for their bags at the carousel. They get their partner to wait for the bags at the carousel. So the partner's standing at carousel number 3 waiting for the bags from Orlando, whatever. And the smokers legged it out to the front of the airport. And you can literally see them as soon as they run out of the entrance to Dublin Airport. They're like dragging away like mad because they haven't been smoking for 10 hours. So how did you last on a flight from Thailand?
Well, there's one thing. You have to have a lot of willpower. And then it's a help that you can't smoke in a lot of airports. That's a help as well. So,
sorry, I don't know any airport that you can smoke in. Is there an airport where you can smoke in?
Yeah, Dubai.
Really?
Abu Dhabi, they have smoke rooms in the airport.
Oh, sorry, these are like these big fish tanks where you walk in, and I don't know why they don't have one in Dublin Airport, to be honest.
No, they don't. Well, what you do is you have to go out nearly out at the exit if you want to have a smoke. So it's a help, So, but people will have 2 or 3 probably before they go in to the airport, and then it depends on where they're going. If it's a long haul flight, they might be lucky enough to have a stop off. I think most of the travelling when you're going to Thailand, there is most of the airports that do have a smoking room. So when they get off the plane, they're running to the smoking room when they're waiting on that.
Yeah, I don't know why Dublin Airport doesn't have one, to be honest. So anyway, you've given up smoking. You're on day 39 at the moment, and cold turkey.
I do have a little bit of.
No, but I mean, did you use patches or?
No, no patches, no.
No, I wasn't asking you, did you have cold turkey over Christmas?
No. Well, I stopped when I got into the taxi coming home, and then from there on, it was just mind over matter and a lot of willpower. And
so how can everybody not do it then the way you've done it? How come Adrian has been struggling for years and you can do it?
Because I think he just doesn't have the willpower to do it.
No, I don't believe he doesn't have willpower. He has no willpower, I'll give you that.
Yeah,
when pizzas arrive into 98 FM, he's the first to run over and eat it. Like, he just has no willpower for anything. But I think you have to want to give them up, don't you?
Yeah. Well, that's where the willpower comes in. You have to want to give them up. You have to be determined to give them up, Now, I still get the odd thing, like, if anything happens, bit of stress or something like that, I always have that niggly thing that go out and have a smoke, but I won't. I have to have a lot of willpower to keep off them.
Well, the best of luck to you. I hope you do keep off it, because it's a rotten habit, and you're doing your body no favours. We're looking for someone as well who's going on dry January. Anybody listening who was on dry January? I was reading a report today, and I actually agree with this, I have to say. And this is from a doctor in the UK. And what he's saying is that dry January isn't as good as it's been made out to be. He said, beware of going dry in January. Now, this is a liver specialist. And what he's saying is, his name is Dr. Mark Wright. And he's saying that getting off the booze for 1 month is not a fix-all solution. Instead, you should just drink moderately throughout the year. And you have these people, I have a mate of mine who does this. He boasts about it on social media. Every January, he boasts, it's dry January, I'm not having anything to drink. And then on the 1st of February, you see him checking in at a pub and a photograph of 6 pints of Guinness in front of him. Now, that to me is a complete and utter waste of time. If you're going to go on dry January, why not just drink moderately throughout the whole year? That makes a lot more sense. There's a lot of messages coming in about Dublin Airport as well, and where you can smoke. Some people claiming that there are smoking areas in Dublin Airport. I wasn't aware of that. We'll find out about that in the break. And also we're going to talk to Sarah about how her boyfriend managed to give up smoking. Don't go away. It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks.
98 FM's Dublin Talks
with Des Kelly Interiors. Huge January sale now on in all departments.
98 FM.
It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Jeremy Dixon here live for what day is it? It's a Wednesday. I'm sure you're as all over the place as I am, but it's the first show of the new year, and I hope you all had a great Christmas and a happy new year. And you know what? It's great when you get messages and I don't like us blowing our own trumpets, but it's great when you get messages saying it's great to have Dublin Talks back. It's part of my morning routine. It means that everything is back to normal, and it's lovely to hear things like that. That so many people make us part of their morning routine, and that when we're not here, it's like, oh my God, yeah, what's happened? But it's all back to normal now. And I have to be honest with you, on a personal note, I missed talking to you all over the Christmas. As much as I love being on a break, I missed chatting to our listeners, because we feel like we know every single one of you. We know all these little things about your life from ringing us in and texting us. And you're all kind of like the auntie that I haven't seen in 2 weeks, and we're all catching up now and finding out how everything is. So thanks for keeping in contact with us. Having said that, I'd love another 2 weeks off, boss, if you're listening. Now, let me just go to Dara very quick about Dublin Airport. This is about smoking in Dublin Airport. Dara, how are you?
How are you? How are things?
Not too bad at all. Happy New Year.
Same to you, buddy.
You can smoke within Dublin Airport, can you?
Yeah, there's one of the bars upstairs, I can't remember the name of it, but when you go through it, out the back, it's like a balcony area, and it's for smoking out there.
Oh, okay, so you don't have to leg it out of the airport?
Not anymore, no.
You see, this wouldn't be on my radar because I'm not a smoker. But you're saying a bar, you don't know the name of the bar?
I can't remember. I know I used it before, and then I gave up smoking myself, and we were going to Manchester there back in the start of November, and one of our parties still smokes, and they definitely used it.
You always feel sorry when there's one smoker in the whole group, isn't it?
Yeah, they always disappear, and you're kind of looking for them.
No, but I was out with friends over Christmas. I had one night out over Christmas, and I was out with a group of friends, and we're all non-smokers apart from one fella, and I felt sorry for him because nobody would go out to the smoking area. I hate smoking areas. They're disgusting. You go out to one for 2 minutes and you end up stinking of smoke. They're the vilest places, smoking areas. And every time he wanted a cigarette, he'd say, would anybody come out to the smoking area with him? We were like, no, you're all right. You're on your own. And he ended up just going out on his own, and I kind of felt sorry for him. But that's the price you pay being a smoker, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Like, I never noticed that, and when you're a smoker yourself, you don't actually notice the smell. It's normal for you, but like when I gave up, I'd say about a week afterwards, you actually do realise when you're not smoking, wow, there is really a bad smell off it, and it's more distinctive when you're a non-smoker than when you actually are a smoker. Yeah,
although a lot of people would say there's nothing more annoying than reformed smokers, because you feel because you were able to do it that everybody else should be able to do it. But was it hard for you?
It wasn't like I wouldn't be a heavy smoker. Like for me, how I did a cold turkey. I just was able to do a cold turkey. It's not easy for everyone. I know friends who struggle very badly to give it up. I actually went to Disneyland for 2 weeks with my other half.
And you can't smoke you can't smoke within Disneyland, which is fair enough.
There is smoking areas.
Yes, I never saw them. Okay.
There is somewhere definitely in SeaWorld and stuff they do.
Oh, there was one smoking area in Disneyland that I saw, but it was a Mickey Mouse. It was very Mickey Mouse.
But I'm just
sorry.
It's like I'm not bothered though. I'm trying to find the smoking area.
Yeah, why would you?
I'm trying to find my friends. So for 2 weeks I didn't smoke, and then when I came home I said, you know what? Let's just see how far this goes, and I was able to stay off them. Cold
turkey's the only way. Thanks, Sarah. Happy New Year to you.
Same to you, Dan.
Look after yourself. He's back to work today. It just says on my screen there as well, like most of us. Now let me go to Sarah. Sarah, how are you?
Hi, Jeremy. How are you?
Happy New Year.
You too.
Now, your boyfriend gave up smoking. When did he give up smoking?
In June.
Was that because you were nagging him?
No, we're moving into a new house and we wanted to try for a baby. So,
okay, yeah.
I was like, I'm not having to smoke in the house, and we have a 5-year-old, so I was just like, no.
Well,
you're going to spend all night out the back,
Yeah.
So
and as well, smoking when you're trying for a baby, a lot of people don't realise this. For men, smoking for men can affect their fertility. It really can. For men who do smoke, if you are trying to conceive, it can affect your fertility. So it's probably good when you're trying for a baby to try and give up the smoking. Anyway, he's off it since June, and he got tablets, did he?
Yeah, he went to his GP and they give you a prescription for tablets. I think it's a 3-month thing, I think it is. And you take the tablets and you continue smoking as normal. And then after 2 or 3 weeks, your body just repulses the smoke. Like, you no longer want it. Like, but you have to want to stop. Like,
okay, so what are these tablets called?
They're called Champix.
Champix. Let me just look that up now.
Yeah.
Okay, Shanta.
Now, his sister took them as well and had no desire to quit. So when the tablets start making you feel sick from smoking, the idea is you stop smoking, but she stopped taking the tablets instead and continued smoking, the kind of way. So you get to a point where it's like, right, now the tablets are working, this is obviously when I stop, and it's meant to block the signal for the craving for the nicotine in your body.
I'm looking at them here. Geez, they're cheap enough. In one chemist, 25 quid for a 12-week treatment course. Now, I know a lot of people listening are going to want to know the name of this, so grab a pen or write it in your phone for those of you who want to know the name of this. Now, we're not saying this works for everybody. It worked for your partner, obviously. Their name is Champix, Champix, and 25 quid for a 12-week treatment course, and it says it relieves cravings and withdrawal symptoms associated with nicotine addiction. Complete a 4-week starter pack, and then the doctors review your progress. So it obviously works for some people. It worked for your fella, and he's never looked back.
No, I hasn't looked back. His sister and her partner are the same, and they would have been heavy smokers, 20, 25 a day. And hasn't looked back at all. There's no desire for it. We've been out, some of his friends still smoke. We've been in smoking areas, and I'm like, how do you feel? And he's just like, no, it's just, the smell of it, and the next day. And so he really is just turned off by it completely.
There's no, and for you as well, you're a non-smoker, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it must be, and one of the people that works on our team as well is a non-smoker and is married to a smoker. And I always feel sorry for that person, because even kissing the person, it must be disgusting. And as well, the clothes. And I remember when I used to DJ in nightclubs, when you could smoke in nightclubs, I'd arrive home, my hair would be stinking of smoke, and then the pillow would be stinking, and my wife would be waking up and going, the smell of smoke off you. It's just disgusting, isn't it? Yeah,
it's unmistakable. And the health benefits now as well, he doesn't snore, which is great for me, but his breathing, you can tell his breathing is better. He doesn't have a cough. His sister that gave them up, suffered with headaches and stuff. None of that anymore. No antihistamines. So they just seem to be much better in themselves.
Brilliant. Now,
somebody's knock-on effect on a lot of things.
Somebody's trying to take me to task over the fertility thing. Jeremy, where did you get that ridiculous idea that men smoking affects their fertility? Yes, it does. I think it even says on some cigarette packets. The negative effect smoking can have on sperm health is stronger. I'm looking at loads of reports here. It definitely can affect male fertility issues. And it's all to do with your sperm. So if you're trying for a baby, it's not just the woman that should give up smoking, it's the man as well. Anyway, best of luck to him. I hope he keeps it up. Any New Year's resolutions yourself?
I want to get out more, get out walking and take more pictures. I don't take enough pictures to remember things, and cut the screen zombie down with the 5-year-old.
So you want to take more pictures?
I want to. Yeah,
I never thought I'd hear anybody saying that. Everybody takes too many pictures as it is.
He only said it to me the other day, we don't have a lot of pictures. I was like, we were at the Panto last night, so I said, make sure we get a picture of the three of us now to remember. I don't have my phone in my hand a lot.
I know, and I admire you. Jesus, I take photographs of everything. We were in TGI's yesterday. You wouldn't think that's a big event, but we're in TGI's, and I took a photograph of little Luke, my young fella, in TGI's, and my wife turns around to me and she says, why are you doing that? And I said, I don't know. And she says, it's not as if in 20 years' time, when he's grown up, he's going to look back at that photograph and go, wow, I was in TGI Fridays. That was a big life-changing event. But you see, Sarah, you're quite younger than me. Are you in your 20s, are you?
I'm 27, yeah.
So there's probably a good few photographs knocking around of you when you were a baby and a child, is there?
Yeah, there's loads.
Yeah, there's not of me.
Videos that we can watch and just the day, like Christmas time, the days out and stuff, where I wouldn't really take it out, where I was like, just take it out and take a picture of us so we can remember we were at the Panto.
Because you see, I grew up in the early 80s, where photographs weren't a big thing, because obviously you had to get photographs developed and all that. And, you didn't bring... my mother in the 70s and 80s, she wasn't carrying a disposable camera around in her pocket all the time. And this is quite a sad story, actually, Sarah, but there's only... And I went through my parents' old photo. They have a big photo box with all photos. There's only about 10 photographs of me between the ages of 0 and 5. Isn't that very sad?
Yeah.
Like 10 photographs.
Yeah. My mum has boxes of photo albums, and she got the videos turned into DVDs and everything. And
see, that was it was the 90s, different time. You know
90s,
what I mean?
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I was an ugly baby and they didn't want to photograph me. I was actually quite an attractive, good-looking baby. But yeah, there's only
too much hassle at the time.
Yeah, 10 photographs. Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, no problem.
Look after yourself. Bye-bye. Those tablets, again, for those of you, and I'm not giving out medical advice. I'm not saying this is the thing you should do or you shouldn't do, but they are called, if you want to write it down, they're called Champix. And I'll be happy to help anybody that wants to give up smoking. And you can get them in most chemists. Now, one more call on the smoking issue, and that's from Reese. How are you, Reese?
Morning, Jeremy. How are you?
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Now, you find smokers annoying and hypocritical.
Very.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you. But why do you find them that way?
For example, I started the gym there about 4 months back. And when I started the gym, I bought myself a couple of protein shakes and bars and stuff.
Yeah.
So in work, I usually go after work. So in work, I'll mix one up and I'll have it just as I'm leaving. And my friend will stand there in work, stand there with smoking his mouth and say, "Why are you taking those things? They're so bad for you. Do you know the health, but you know how bad they are for
Sorry,
you."
but there's nothing bad about protein shakes or protein drinks at all.
I don't know. But he insists there is. I don't think.
No, let me tell you. Years ago, they weren't regulated, and they used to put all sorts into protein mixes. But now there's all regulation about it, and if they're bought in a reputable shop, there's absolutely nothing wrong with protein shakes. It's just the exact same that you would get in a steak or in broccoli. That's all it is. It's protein, and now, as long as you're not drinking 20 protein shakes a day, you should be okay. So this smoker had the audacity to give out to you about protein shakes, and there he is puffing away.
Yeah, and he does it quite a lot on loads of things. I just find it very annoying that he's like that. But sure, look, a lot of them are like that. I know a lot of them who are like that. My mother is like that, and I have 2 other friends who are like that as well. I think that might be just a smoker's thing.
I think it is. Smokers don't like being smokers. That's the thing. They really don't like being smokers, and they don't like being reminded of their filthy habit, and that's probably their way of dealing with it. But listen, Reese, keep it up, keep the gym work up. I'm delighted to hear you started the gym. It's a bit of fun, isn't it, the gym?
Thank you. It is, yes. I know that my new resolution is to go 3 times a week instead of 2. So maybe I can be able to fit that in.
Yeah, and again, the one thing I would say about, now I'm no gym expert. I've been gymming the last 10 years. Put a few videos up on Instagram, but I'm no gym expert. But what I would say is everything in moderation. These people who do gym 7 days a week, absolute losers. Don't mind them. 3 days a week is fine. I have a friend who goes to the gym in the morning and the afternoon 7 days a week. Now he looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger, in fairness, but it's 3 days is absolutely fine. Don't overdo it, Reese. Okay?
I won't. Thank you. Thanks, Jeremy. Have a good year.
Cheers. You. Bye. Have a good year. I hope you'll be talking to you before the end of 2019, Reese. Thank you very much for all your calls, your comments, and your texts. And if you are trying to give up smoking, the best of luck to you. I do wish you well. I'm sure it's not easy. Here's me. Sitting here in the studio pontificating to you and I'm a non-smoker. I don't know what it's like to have to give up cigarettes, and if you are giving them up, I wish you the best of luck. It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks. Bit of conspiracy music for you. Yeah, it's the X-Files. The reason I'm playing this is because of a conspiracy theory I have. All to do with whether or not Facebook is listening to you or not. I have 2 examples, and I want to hear from you about your examples of how you are convinced that Facebook is listening to you. I'm not one for conspiracy theories, as I said. I believe, I don't believe any of these conspiracy theories that people come out with. But 2 things happened to me over the Christmas time that have me convinced that Facebook is listening to exactly what I am saying. The first example, and we're going to be joined in a moment by someone who knows all about this, a tech expert who's going to explain to us, well, he's going to let us know whether or not it is actually happening. But I believe it is happening. 2 examples I'm going to give you that happened to me over Christmas, and I want to hear your examples as well. You can text or WhatsApp 087 798 98 98. That's the text or WhatsApp number. 087 798 98 98. Here are the 2 examples. The first one, sitting with friends in Costa Coffee before Christmas, and we were talking about alpacas. You know alpacas? They're like llamas. Completely random conversation about alpacas, and my friend was saying how much she loves alpacas. About an hour later, when I left the coffee shop, I logged onto Facebook. And the first ad that came up on Facebook was for an alpaca farm. I didn't even know we had one in Ireland. But we do. I know that now. On Stephen's Day, or Stevens' Day, I was eating my homemade Christmas pudding. And my wife kindly bought a little bottle of, I think it was Powers whiskey, to pour over the Christmas pudding to light it on fire, because that's what we do. We were talking all about whiskey and pouring it over the pudding. My phone was on the table as I was doing it. Went on Facebook that evening, and the first ad that came up was for a page to do with an Irish whiskey. Never seen it before in my life. I have no explanation for that other than the fact that Facebook is listening to every single word I say. It's just too much of a coincidence. So I thought we'd discuss it today and find out, have you examples of this? I put this on Twitter over Christmas, and the amount of people who have experienced this as well is unreal. I want you to hear from you. Text or WhatsApp us 0877 98 98 98. What examples have you got that you were talking about something to friends just randomly, and then you went onto Facebook and an ad came up for it? Another mate of mine was on Instagram over Christmas talking about Australia, and his Instagram is now full of ads for Australia. Is this a conspiracy theory that's worth mentioning, or is it just it's all to do with coincidence? In a moment, I'm going to be talking to a tech expert from the Irish Indo, Adrian Weckler, who's going to explain to us what is going on here. Is Mark Zuckerberg listening to all the conversations we're having? And if he is, Mark, that thing I said I did yesterday, I didn't actually do. Okay, don't tell anybody about it. Back in a sec.
98 FM's Dublin Talks
With Des Kelly Interiors. Huge January sale now on in all departments.
98 FM.
Hey, it's 98 FM's Dublin Talks with myself, Jeremy Dixon, with you until midday today for this Wednesday morning. Now, as I mentioned before the break, this is something that happened over the Christmas, and I said, you know what, I'm going to do something on this. I'm going to research it. I'm going to find out how true this actually is. Because most people listening to the show now, most of you have a Facebook account. And most of you have experienced what I experienced, where you're talking about something among friends, and then you go on Facebook and you see a load of ads for that particular subject. It's too much of a and I'm sorry, nothing will convince me otherwise. It's too much of a coincidence. I firmly believe, and nothing will tell me otherwise, that Facebook is listening to me. So I decided to get a man who knows all about this sort of stuff. Tech expert from the Irish Indo, Adrian Weckler, is on the line. How are you, Adrian?
I'm very well, Jeremy.
Happy New Year to you.
And to you.
Now, by me saying Happy New Year to you, my phone is beside me and I'm logged onto Facebook. Will I be getting a load of posts about the new year?
Very possibly, because it's January the 2nd.
Okay, so it's not a conspiracy. Okay.
No, your phone isn't listening to you, but it's the most logical thing in the world to imagine that it might be, because we're now in an era of Amazon Alexa, of Siri, of the Google Assistant. Every single future trend, including the ones that I've been writing about, are about the smart home and about how you're going to tell your home devices what to do. We've been using Shazam for years, where we hold our phone up to a speaker in a random cafe to
That's
find
right,
out
I do it all the
what
time,
the song
yeah.
is. So the idea of your phone identifying key information based on using your microphone or telling it to do a series of functions is something that's well established now in our minds. So it's a very small leap from there to imagine that your phone might also use that microphone to serve you ads on social media sites like Facebook, particularly because we know that companies like Facebook mine all sorts of data in all sorts of ways, scrupulous and unscrupulous, to do that. And also because the technology is simply there to do it. A few quick notes. I can go through why it's unlikely, or why, in your case, for example, when you were sitting in a cafe and you were talking about alpacas, that you started seeing ads for alpacas, or the example that you mentioned about Powers whiskey.
Yeah, the whiskey.
And your wife. So, in those two examples, for example, Facebook, I'm going to assume there was more than one friend. There was two friends that were sitting there beside you. And I'm also going to assume that they also have Facebook accounts.
Yes,
okay?
They did.
Now, I'm not sure how that alpacas conversation came up.
It came up very randomly.
Okay.
One of the girls is mad about them, and she says, I love alpacas. I'd love to see where...
So she loves alpacas. Okay?
Yes.
Now, what are the chances that in the last week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks that she was Googling about alpacas? There is a chance.
Okay,
There's some
yeah.
chance.
I didn't ask her, but yeah, there is a chance.
Okay, so let's say there's some chance, or let's say just even to take it to an extreme, she joins some Facebook alpaca, appreciation society. Okay,
I'm sure there is one. Yeah,
for a second. The fact that you are connected to her, most likely on Facebook, means an awful lot. It means that, for example, that when Facebook sends out its pitches for advertising to target people, they do it in 100 different ways, and one of the ways is based on who your interests and your friends' interests. Okay. So it's very likely that from, for example, location data, it's likely that at least 2 or 3 of you had your phone's location data on, so they might have known that you were sitting in that cafe, so they knew you were together. They know one of you likes alpacas, so it's possible that the other one starts getting ads related to the interests of your friend.
Adrian, you're terrifying me here about I'm fairly tech savvy, but not that tech savvy that that they would know that we're all together and that we're all in the same place together. That's terrifying that they know that much information about us.
This is the irony about this whole conversation, which is, and you're right to bring it up, everybody, I've heard so many stories over Christmas about this. People are convinced the phone is listening to them. The reality of how Facebook puts 2 and 2 together to serve you ads is actually a bit scarier than the simple answer of recording you through your phone. I mean, for example, it recently patented a method to use your previous location data, right, in conjunction with the previous location data of your friends or people to predict your own future location to serve you ads.
For God's sake.
Basis. Okay, so there are at least a dozen different ways for Facebook to credibly serve you that ad about alpacas.
Okay, well, give me the one about the whiskey then. Okay. I'm not a whiskey drinker. I've never bought whiskey. I just happened to be talking about it on Stephen's Day, where I poured whiskey over the Christmas pudding. Go onto Facebook an hour later, and lo and behold, there's an ad. I think it was for Paris whiskey.
Yeah. So you poured the whiskey. It wasn't your wife who poured the whiskey.
No, I poured the whiskey. Yeah.
Okay. So it wasn't part of a recipe that anybody was looking up or Googling or had recently paid attention to when they saw it online.
Well, now hang on. To that end, my wife, when she was looking up, she did Google about 3 weeks ago when she was making the pudding. She did Google the recipe for Christmas pudding.
So that's one obvious potential avenue where that data from that Google search forms part of your marketable, targetable advertising data, which then turns up in an ad a couple of weeks later around Christmas time. Now, it may not only be that. It may also be that over Christmas is a time where whiskey, more than beer, more than champagne, is a particularly advertised alcohol drink. Okay, so I'm not saying it's either one of those things, but it could be a combination of.
You really are one of these people that has an answer for everything, Adrian. You've completely blown my conspiracy out of the water about these.
Well, the thing about it is, if you stop to think about it, and I know that we do live in an age of Amazon Alexa and Siri and Google Assistant and Shazam, but if you stop to think about it, the alternative answer, which is what most people jump to or assume, that that these companies, either them or an advertising broker or the phone company, are actually deliberately secretly recording your conversation. Can you actually think of a bigger scandal?
No, and I mean, Zuckerberg did say last year in front of the Congress in the US, he denied it. Well, although you would, he flat out denied it and said, listen, we've better things to be doing than listening to people's conversations. So the bottom line from you is, they are, as far as we know, they are not listening, but if they were, it will be the biggest scandal of this century.
I mean, I'll put it to you this way. Most media companies hate Facebook. I mean, they hate Facebook for a whole load of reasons. We have been trying for the best part of 3 years, not we, I shouldn't have been, but in the media industry, to prove that Facebook is doing something like this. We've come up blanks each time. Facebook has blanket denied it in testimony to the US Senate last year when Mark Zuckerberg was hauled up before them. He was asked by a US Senator, is my phone recording my conversation for Facebook? He said absolutely not. Ally that to the massive amount of data it would take. So if you consider that your phone would basically be recording you all the time, or be ready to record you all the time, every single word you utter looking for an ad word, at the moment, that would be something like 30 or 40 times the amount of data that Facebook can actually
I know. It's okay. Well, here's what I'm going to do: an experiment with you here before I let you go, Adrian. I'm just going to mention something completely random to you. I mean, we're not connected in any other way other than we're talking on the phone. I follow you on Twitter, which isn't owned by Facebook.
In front of me, so go on.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about something. So, Adrian, have I told you that I want to go to Machu Picchu on my holidays this year?
You haven't told me you wanted to go to Machu Picchu on your holiday.
Well, I do. I've always wanted to climb up the hills there. It looks like a beautiful place to go. Do you want to go?
Can you find any alpacas up there?
Oh, you see, you're mentioning alpacas again. Okay, I'll mention something else then, completely random. I fancy going to New Zealand. Love New Zealand, Adrian. Do you fancy going on a holiday with me to New Zealand?
Yeah, I'd love to go to New Zealand, sip a nice cool Paris whiskey while I'm there.
Would you stop that? And we could fly Qantas maybe to Australia and then hop over to New Zealand. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do.
New Zealand, Machu Picchu. Okay,
yeah.
Very
okay,
good.
So in 24 hours, I'm going to come back to you and let you know if Facebook has heard us, okay?
Okay.
Thanks, Adrian. That's a tech expert from the Irish Indo, a man who was trying to find out are Facebook as evil as we think they are. And that's very interesting. So, I've just mentioned some random things there. I've mentioned New Zealand. So my phone's beside me here and I'm logged onto Facebook. You should play this game at home as well. Just shout random things into your phone. So I want to go to New Zealand and I want to fly Qantas. And I also want to go to Machu Picchu. Which is in, what country is Machu Picchu in, Katie? Peru. Well done, Katie. I want to go to Peru and see some llamas in Machu Picchu. Okay, so I've just mentioned some random things. Let's see what happens within the next 24 hours on Facebook. The truth is out there, as they say. Don't go away, because in a moment I'm going to talk to Bill, who has a very creepy example of Facebook listening to him, and Peter, who has some explanation towards it. If you have any examples of this as well, and there's loads coming in, text or WhatsApp us now. 087 798 98 98. Is Facebook listening? 98. It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Jeremy Dixon here for a Wednesday. Trisha's here with the top stories.
Thanks, Jeremy. 6 people have been killed in a train accident on a bridge connecting two main islands in Denmark. It's thought a passenger train had to brake suddenly after it was hit by objects from a freight train travelling in the opposite direction. It happened at around 8 o'clock this morning. Parts of the Lewis Green Line have been rerouted after a medical emergency on a tram. A passenger became ill at the Milltown stop earlier this morning. It's causing delays on the Green Line in both directions. A 16-year-old boy's been released without charge after a shooting at a takeaway in Coolock in the early hours of New Year's Day. 2 employees were injured when a gunman entered the shop in the Edenmore shopping centre, demanded cash and then fired a number of shots. Gardaí arrested 2 men in connection with the incident. A 44-year-old man is still being questioned. And victims of domestic violence who were psychologically abused will now be offered more protection. New laws come into effect today and include a new offence of coercive control. And are you up to date on 98?
98 FM's Dublin Talks. Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
It's the second hour of the show. It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks first Dublin Talk show of 2019. I hope you're all in good form and enjoying the show this morning. Text or WhatsApp us 087 798 98 98. That's the text or WhatsApp number 087 798 98 98. In a couple of moments we'll be talking about the increase in antisocial behaviour on public transport, and in particular something that happened on New Year's Eve at Lucan, and also a call made by bus and train drivers to do something about antisocial behaviour on public transport. We'll be talking about that in a couple of minutes. But right now we're talking about Facebook and whether or not it's listening to us. And I was telling the story, and I'm getting some great stories from you guys. Keep them coming in because they're fascinating. This really fascinates me. I was talking about over Christmas that I was mentioning 2 different things, alpacas and whiskey, and then ads came up for alpacas and whiskey on Facebook. And Peter, you're saying that it's in the terms and conditions, is it?
Yeah, when you think about it, everybody says Facebook is free. The reason why Facebook is free is because you're the product. The person who's using Facebook is the product. It's in the terms and conditions, and when laws are brought in, like I know you had a tech expert on there, and every question you put to him, he had a big hyphenated answer, and oh well, it's because you met this person on what? Because your Mrs. Google's whiskey 3 weeks ago or popped up on the day of pouring whiskey.
Yes.
No, it's in the terms and conditions, and when there was regulations brought in against it, what they done was they removed Facebook Messenger from the main Facebook app.
Okay.
So
They're two separate apps, yeah. Two separate apps.
They're two separate apps now. So if you read the terms and conditions for the Facebook Messenger app, they can access your microphone, your calls, your texts, everything that you read. That's why when I do ever contact your station through Facebook and they try to get me to reply through Facebook, I hate downloading that Facebook, the Messenger app, because they read everything. Now, like the other guy is like, oh, well, it's because of this and because of this and because of that. No, they're listening to it. Like, how can it be a scandal? It's not a scandal. When you clicking into the Facebook...
Yeah, but what Adrian said is, and he's the tech expert, they've tried to prove that Facebook are doing this and they can't prove it.
Yeah. And do they know what algorithms Facebook are using?
No, who knows? Who knows what's going on? Yeah.
Exactly, because it's all in top secret, so you're never going to find out. The only way you're going to find out is if an Edward Snowden type of situation, somebody who's high up in tech, in Facebook goes, oh no, they're using this for nefarious.
Oh, so if someone goes rogue and whistleblows the whole thing.
Exactly. It's not a coincidence. It can't
be. Well, so we'll stay there for a sec because Bill, and we're hearing lots of stories about this. Bill, you caught Facebook listening to you, did you?
Well, I didn't catch them listening to me. Myself and my wife was speaking about the Dublin Zoo Lights thing yesterday that we're going to today.
Brilliant.
But we didn't book the tickets now. We're going to see them afterward. We didn't book the tickets now. My mother booked the tickets for all the kids for Christmas, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
And I was on Facebook last night, and the very first thing that came up was a thing for Dublin Lights, in Dublin Zoo Lights.
Now,
the very first thing that came up. And I didn't Google it. I didn't look on my phone or anything like that whatsoever.
So you've never Googled it?
Not on my phone. Not on my phone.
But you may have Googled it at home on your computer.
I may have Googled it home on the tablet, yeah. Maybe I probably did, to be fair, but that was a long time ago.
Okay.
But it's just very strange that we spoke about it 3 or 4 hours later. I went on Facebook, got my phone, and up it pops.
Okay, so you're talking about Wild Lights with your wife.
Wild Lights, yeah. Wild Lights.
And the phone is beside you, whatever.
Yeah.
And the next minute you're seeing ads all over Facebook for it.
About an hour or two later, I went on Facebook, and the very first thing came up was a pop-up for Wild Lights. And I went into my own phone and Googled the history on it, and I went back, a couple of months, wherever it was, and there was no sign of it. Now, I did go on the tablet about a month or two ago, granted, but I actually picked up my phone. I went on my phone on Facebook, not on the tablet.
I know. Does Facebook, did they connect it to? Peter, have you an answer to that? Did they connect it to?
Unless he has Facebook app downloaded on the tablet as well, and then he's doing it. But they are actually, I guarantee you, they're listening to you. And when it does come out, it won't be a scandal because I'm not listening to you in secret. When you click download Facebook, sign in, do you accept? I accept. Just get me onto Facebook. Nobody ever reads. And
I never read the terms and conditions for anything. I couldn't tell you the terms and conditions for anything.
Exactly. And every single month, Facebook updates our app, and the app updates automatically. And when you go into it, you are giving them permission, so it's not a scandal. You are basically saying to them, please listen to me. So because, say for instance, Powers Whiskey, they go to Facebook, we want their ads given to 1 million people, and Facebook can guarantee Powers Whiskey, we can give your ad to 1 million people who are mentioning whiskey.
Yeah, which was me on Stephen's Day. Well, here's a random one. I want you to all to have a listen to this one. No, I didn't even know these were a thing. Does anybody know what webbed toes are? Because this message says, Facebook is definitely listening. I was talking about webbed toes the other day. What are webbed toes? Is that a medical condition? And I went on Facebook and I was getting advertisements for webbed toe surgery. Now, if webbed toes is in fact a thing, and I think it is a medical condition, that is fairly random that an ad would come up for webbed toe surgery. Which kind of proves your point, doesn't it, Peter?
And then again, Facebook bought Instagram, and they also bought WhatsApp. And the WhatsApp text messages, it's great because it's all in secret and it's encrypted. Yeah, but Facebook has the encryption. So if you were talking in groups, let's go out here the weekend, and then you go onto your Facebook because you've been in your WhatsApp and you've been texting your friends about it in the group, and then you go onto Facebook then, oh, look at that, here's a place we can go because I just got an ad about it on my Facebook.
Are you not being a bit paranoid here? No, I know.
On my Facebook app on my phone, the location services is turned off, the access to my microphone is turned off. I get barely anything. People, the lads will laugh at me going, you need a tinfoil hat. And I'm like, well, it's big tech companies.
Okay, can you explain to people, I should have asked Adrian this, but can you explain how you turn off your microphone through Facebook? Because I haven't got a clue how to do it.
You go into your settings on your iPhone. Well, I only have an iPhone, so you go into your settings, you go into privacy, and then you can click into your individual apps like WhatsApp.
I have it here, yeah.
Yeah, and you can go into your Google Maps, click into Facebook, and it'll say notifications, privacy settings, and it should have microphone and camera. I don't have access. Facebook doesn't have access to me mic, to me camera, to nothing.
Oh, I see that now, yeah, okay.
Yeah, if you're trying to Facebook Live a video, they will like, we need access to your microphone. Why? It's built into me camera. Why do you need access? So you click, okay, you can have access to my microphone. You have officially and legally given Facebook permission to access your microphone.
But I didn't know I gave them permission because I didn't read the terms and conditions.
Exactly, and then the only other way to combat it and to stop them from doing it is every single time you're finished on your Insta, your WhatsApp, and your Facebook page, log out and log back in each time. If you log out, they legally can't access anything then. And then I guarantee if you've done that for a few weeks, every single time you logged out and talked about random things, 9 times out of 10, then pop-up ads will stop unless your WhatsApp or your Instagram is still logged in.
It's terrifying, and nothing's going to convince you otherwise. But thanks very much for your call, Peter. I'm going to do that myself right now. So for those of you who aren't aware of this or weren't aware of this, and we only have ourselves to blame because we didn't look up the terms and conditions when we logged onto Facebook. So go into Facebook, go into settings on your Facebook page, which I'm doing now. Go down to settings and privacy, and you will see a load of different things there that you can switch off, and you don't have to give them access to the microphone. Let me just read out a couple more stories. Seemingly webbed toes is a thing. I didn't realise that. It's a medical condition. I was speaking to my sister, says Ava, about wheelchairs. The next thing, wheelchair ads start popping up on Facebook. This can't be a coincidence. Another one. Yes, I believe that Facebook was listening to me. I was talking to my husband about booking a hotel down the country for later in the year. It was a hotel in Wexford, and I was saying we should go back there. And it kept popping up, ads kept popping up on Facebook for it. Also, I was talking to my daughter about her wanting the DVD Hocus Pocus. The first thing that came up on Facebook when I logged on was an ad for Hocus Pocus DVD. I might delete Facebook. Here's the thing. You may have all the great intentions in the world of deleting Facebook, but you won't. And the reason why we won't delete Facebook, even though all these scandals are coming out, is because of FOMO. The fear of missing out. That's why you stay on Facebook. You may hate it, and you may hate the fact that you think it's listening to you, but you will stay on it because you want to know what other people are doing. And if you go off it, you won't see the good deals in Super Value next week. You won't see what gyms are giving you reductions in January. You won't see what where Mrs. O'Brien is going on her holidays next week. You won't see how your cousins over in America are doing. You won't see any of that stuff. That's why you will stay on Facebook. One final text on this from Liam. Last week, my girlfriend and myself were doing a clean out of the kitchen presses. And we were talking about not having enough lids to match our lunch boxes. That night, we were logged onto Facebook, and it was an ad for lunch boxes. Says Liam in Maynooth. Scary. I don't know, Liam. I don't have the answers. But as Adrian, our tech expert, was saying, they've been trying for years to prove that this does happen, and they haven't been able to prove it. So if they can prove it, what can we say? We just have to believe Facebook when they say that they're not doing it. Anyway, it is 98 FM's Dublin Talks. It's Jeremy Dixon here with you until midday today. 2 questions for you next on the show. Every single one of you uses public transport at some stage or another, be it the Luas, the bus, or the train. Here's a question for you. Do you feel safe on public transport? In the last year, let's say in the last year, have you been subjected to violence or antisocial behaviour on a train, a Luas, or a bus? Just think about it. The last year. I'm sure you don't have to think about it because if you were a victim or you witnessed it, you will remember it quite well. But in the last year, were you a victim of antisocial violence, or did you witness it on a bus, train, or loose? And do you support the idea of buses and trains refusing to go into so-called no-go areas? I want you to listen very closely to two different pieces of audio that I have for you, okay? Two different pieces of audio. The first piece of audio is from a bus stop in Lucan on New Year's Eve. And I'll give you... Now, this is New Year's Eve just gone, just the other day. And I'll give you the background to this, okay? A gang of up to 50 youths caused havoc at a bus stop in Lucan after they launched an unprovoked attack on a group of people waiting for a bus to go into town on New Year's Eve. So you have a group of people standing at a bus stop waiting to head into town, minding their own business in Lucan. The incident happened in Foxborough as a group of about 10 men and women were approached at the stop by a gang of youths who were looking for trouble. Now, in the clip, which was recorded on the bus, we've had to beep out the language on it, you will hear one of the windows of the buses being smashed in. Have a listen to this. It's quite terrifying.
Oh my God. Oh shit, man. Watch what's that over there?
As you can hear, it's absolute mayhem on the bus, but listen to the very end.
You alright? Oh! Me!
Now,
are you okay?
I don't know if you just heard that at the end. I'm going to play it back for you again. Have a listen. That sound of the crash was the window being put in on the bus, stopped at the bus stop. Okay? So that's one incident. New Year's Eve, just gone. Absolute mayhem. Can you imagine what it was like? And if you want to check out the video, go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Adrian K and Jeremy D. Facebook.com/Adrian K and Jeremy D. Now, let me take you back to earlier last year, a bus in Loughlinstown. We spoke to a mother who was on a bus in Loughlinstown that was attacked. Have a listen to this.
Tell me what happened to your mum, Kim, the other night.
She was on the bus with my little brother and they were coming off to the bus stop to go to the next one, and next minute all of the windows just came smashing in on top of them and they didn't have a clue what was going on, obviously. A group of young lads had actually thrown a load of rocks through the windows and the bus driver had to slowly drive back into Loughlinstown, obviously because the windows were shattering as he was driving.
How many windows were smashed in the bus?
All of the left side on the bottom came through on top of them, and the bus driver had actually told all of the people on the bus to put coats over their head to stop the glass getting in on top of them, because as they were driving in, the glass was shattering every time they kept driving, and there was screams on the bus and my little brother was in tears and it was just horrible.
It's another of one of the many stories about violence on public transport, people attacking our buses and trains and Lewis's. And it's got to the stage, it's so sad, it's got to the stage now there where my wife regularly travels on the Lewis with her young fella, and it's got to the stage where I have said to her, if she's on a bus or she's on the Lewis with her son, that she doesn't face him towards the window, because I'm absolutely terrified. It's sad that you even have to say something like this, but I'm absolutely terrified that someone someday is going to put a brick through the Lewis window or through the bus window and just, you know, smash the glass in on my young fella and my wife. It's sad that we have to say things like this in this day and age. Today, bus and rail drivers have said that they want to pull services in so-called no-go areas following a series of attacks. Some DART drivers have described the DART line north of Connolly Station as bandit country and have claimed that drugs are openly dealt along the line, as well as regular aggressive behaviour. So I want you to think about that at the moment. The DART line past Connolly Station heading northbound, okay? So you have Raheny, Kilbarrack, Killester, Harmonstown, Sutton, Bayside. You have all those stops along the train line. Some of the drivers, I don't know how many of the drivers, have said that it's bandit country if you're on that train. Is that true? If you were one of the many people who travels along those stops, maybe you live in one of these areas, Harmonstown, Raheny, Kilbarrack, maybe you live around there. Are these drivers right in what they're saying, that it is bandit country out there when it comes to public transport? Text or WhatsApp your comments 0877 98 98 98, or better still, call us 6797 981. Those are the two questions for you. Do you feel safe travelling on public transport, be it a bus, a train or a Luas? And is it fair to say that the train line north of Connolly Station, all along the north side, the Dart line, that it is now become a no-go area? I'd love to hear from you, especially if you live in those areas. Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. Or better still, call us 6797 981. Let me go to Pauline, because Pauline, you believe it's too extreme to pull services.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, it's unfair on the people who are depending on them, you know?
But if we don't do something about it, it's just going to continue.
Well, no, I'm from Raheny, and I travelled to the Dart from Connolly up to Holt and Greystones and all through the intervening, and I've never had any instance. I've never been a witness to any instance personally, you know.
Okay, so you're travelling on the line and that's the word that's been used. Bandit country is how is it?
No, I don't travel at night. I wouldn't travel at night necessarily on those lines, you know. It's mostly daytime. But I haven't had any instance or experienced anything, you know.
Okay, so you get on a Raheny Dart station.
Yeah.
And you've never...
From Connolly, or come from Pierce to Raheny or whatever, you know.
And you've never witnessed anything antisocial, but you probably wouldn't at 11 o'clock in the morning or
well, no, in the afternoon kind of as well. But like, yeah, I don't. If they're speaking only at night time, I presume this is when the incidents occur.
But yeah, well, most of these incidents do occur after
night,
dark.
Yeah.
But sure, it's dark. It's dark at 4 o'clock now.
I can't personally, yeah, because I don't travel. I wouldn't feel safe alone as a woman anyway on any transport, you know.
Really? So you wouldn't say getting the Dart from... You live in Raheny, so getting the Dart from Connolly Station to Raheny at 7 o'clock tonight, you wouldn't feel safe on it?
Well, it would be the rush hour kind of. It would be the tail of the rush hour.
Okay, well, I'll say after the rush hour. Say 9 o'clock tonight.
No, I wouldn't necessarily travel alone from town, say, to Raheny.
And do you live near the Dart stop in Raheny?
Oh, very close, yeah.
And what do you think would happen if you got the Dart from Connolly to Raheny at 9 o'clock tonight?
Well, nothing might happen. Nothing might happen at all. But the point is, I'd be very aware of the time, and that, late at night, coming to the, getting on the Dart or Connolly or whatever, I certainly wouldn't. I'd be very nervous.
Okay, so would you be upset if next week Irish Rail decided to pull, and I'm not saying they're going to do this, but the drivers aren't happy, that they decided to pull the Darts? Well, you don't use the Darts at night, but if they decided to pull the Darts past 8 o'clock from stopping at Kilbarrack, Raheny, whatever.
I think it'd be grossly unfair. I thought there was supposed to be security on the Dart.
We do have security on the Dart. I've never seen them myself, but I don't use it.
That's the time. They're the times, the evening times, the hours, the nighttime hours is when they should be there. So I don't understand why they're not employing somebody to kind of patrol the Dart.
Well, that'd be interesting to find out from anybody. If you use the Dart, when was the last time you saw security on the Dart? As far as I know, they do have security on it. But if you are a regular user of the Dart, when was the last time, or have you ever seen security on the train? So what you're saying is, don't pull the services. Although you wouldn't be saying that if you were related to a train driver who was attacked or who had a trolley thrown out the window of the train.
I'm incredibly sorry for train drivers who are doing their job and trying to get people from A to B. And I really think it's horrendous if they're... Well, there's nothing you can do with antisocial behaviour outside the train where stones are thrown and bottles are thrown at windows. There's nothing. Security on the train is hopeless then, yes. But if you're talking about antisocial behaviour on the train, it might stop some of it if there was security on it. But outside antisocial behaviour. I suppose there's nothing much you can do about that.
Unfortunately, there's not. Thank you very much for your call, Pauline. 6797 981 is our telephone number. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. We're talking about two separate incidents on public transport. The bus incident in Lucan on New Year's Eve, where 10 people just standing there waiting to get on the bus were attacked by a gang of 50 youths. They threw rocks, smashed the glasses of the bus. And then we're also talking about what train drivers have been saying, that the north side Dart Line is bandit country, that it's a no-go area, that they regularly witness aggressive behaviour and drug dealing. We're trying to find out how bad it actually is. And we're also trying to find out, when was the last time you saw security on any Irish train? Pauline is saying it's wrong to ban them going through these areas, that we need more security. Is security, though, it's not going to stop someone throwing a rock at a train or at a Lewis. Don't go away. After the break, we'll be talking to a man who's, well, has an issue with drug dealers and drug users on public transport. Don't go away. It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks.
98 FM's Dublin Talks
with Des Kelly Interiors. Huge January sale now on in all departments.
98 FM.
It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Jeremy Dixon here for a Wednesday. Hope you're enjoying the show. We're in the middle of a conversation about violence and antisocial behaviour on transport around Dublin, and getting some fascinating stories, well, scary stories as well. If you have witnessed antisocial behaviour, you've been a victim of violence on public transport in the last year, we'd love to hear from you. Text or WhatsApp us now on 087 798 98 98. Anthony says that proposal that buses and Lewises don't go into certain areas due to scumbags is stupid. The Gardaí should be doing their job and going after these people. That'll stop these incidents in their tracks. Anthony, the guards can't predict that two scumbags are going to throw a rock at a bus out in Lucan. How can you predict that? You can't predict crimes before they happen. Mick, tell me what happened on, was it the 27 bus, is that right?
Yeah, Happy New Year to you, Des. It was a bit of a while back there. I was actually on the bus on my own. It was around 9:30 in the evening, and there was a couple of known drug users there who were getting a bit loud on the bus and all that, like, so I put my headphones on just to drown the noise. And just as I was getting off the bus outside the Aldi near Northside and all that, like, he attempted to try and rip the headphones off me. Like, they were expensive pair of headphones, in like €300 pair of Beats at the time.
And how do you know they were? How do you know they were drug addicts?
Well, I've seen them before. Like, they're normally around Eamon Street begging and all that for smokes and all that on the bus and all that as well. So it was definitely a wrong one anyway. Like, I've seen this guy before.
Okay, so you're on the 27, just passing the Northside Shopping Centre. There's an altercation, and one of them goes to steal your headphones.
Yeah, and all that. Like, I said, get your hands off me and all that. And he goes, I'm going to have them headphones next time if I see you and all this. And I thought, no, you ain't. And all that, and he just got off the bus and all that, and I thought, I was a bit shaken up and all that, but I was okay after a few minutes. But it's the type of thing that I won't forget, if you know what I mean.
And has it changed your attitude towards travelling on public transport? Are you more scared?
No, I'm more wary. No, like, me being from London as well and all that, like, I'd be more worried about travelling public transport in London than it would be in Dublin.
You see, part of the problem here is, and I'm just looking at some of the messages coming in, and I don't want this to be an anti-drug user discussion, but part of the problem, it seems, from what I can tell, is that a lot of the antisocial behaviour on public transport is coming from drug users. And of course, a lot of drug users will get free transport, and that's how they're able to travel. And I assume, was this fella using a travel pass? Did you notice, was he using a travel pass?
I wasn't aware of it at the time, but I assumed that he probably would have done. But I personally think antisocial, like, I reckon it's about 50-50. The 50% drug users, just 50% opportunists.
Yeah, you may not be far wrong. Stay there for a second, Mick. Let me go to Rachel. How are you, Rachel?
Hi, how are you?
Not too bad. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Now, what public transport do you use in the city?
I use, the bus services going into town. And to be honest, personally, I've never really had any major issues. with the buses, but I know a lot of my friends where they live, they would have like a lot of problems with people misusing and stuff. But I sent a text message earlier and saying that, like, I think bus drivers should be given the authority to say no to like large groups of youths or people who they suspect as misusing drugs, or, you know, bus drivers should be allowed to say no, you're not coming on, because if that's going to cause any aggro on the bus, it's going to disturb the other passengers as well.
I don't know how a bus driver can enforce that, though, if they do see a big gang going towards them. I mean, here's a message here. I don't know how people I wonder how people would feel about this. I don't know. It's from Paul, and he says, anybody attempting to use public transport that looks like they are a drug or drink abuser should be refused access to the public transport. Now, how do you feel about that, Rachel?
Yeah, like, it depends on how intoxicated they are. Like, if you think that somebody is going to be causing trouble. Like, years ago when I lived at home, I was getting the bus back and forward, and there was a big kind of gang, and they were all like completely stoned out of it, and I actually had to go to the seats downstairs because I wasn't really comfortable there because I could see like this fight happening. But that was a long time ago. But I think bus drivers should be given some level of authority to actually...
Well, no. As far as I know, a driver can. They can refuse, or I assume they can. If there's a driver listening, maybe you can let us know. Can you refuse to let somebody on board? But I mean, there's another message coming in. Anybody who is a drug addict and is seen to be under the influence of drugs should not be allowed on public transport. I wonder, would there be much support for something like that?
I'd say there was.
So say that for a second, Rachel. Let's tease that out with people for a second, because that seems to be the common thread that's coming in here. There's another text. The majority of antisocial behaviour on public transport is carried out by people who are on drugs. I know this as someone who travels on the Lewis regularly. All the antisocial incidents involve drug addicts. Now, is it fair to suggest, and I want to get your thoughts on this, is it fair to suggest that people who are clearly out of it on drugs, who are addicted to drugs, should be refused access to public transport? Like, that's to me that's going back to the dark ages, and I didn't want it to be an anti-drug user issue, but that's what people are giving out about. So text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. Is that a fair suggestion that someone who goes to go on a Dart or a Lewis or a bus, and it's quite obvious that they are drug users, that they're out of their house and out of their face on drugs, that they should be refused access to public transport? Do you think it's a good idea, Rachel, that would clean up our public transport?
Yeah, I think it would. Like, I know not everybody is, like, who creates antisocial behaviour is a drug addict.
No, absolutely not.
You can tell by somebody, by their eyes and their reactions to you, that if they are on something. And, you don't want any more aggro than there already would be.
Well, let me put that question to you, Mick. Do you support that idea of not allowing people who are clearly drug addicts on public transport?
Yeah, I agree with it, but the only problem is that they'll probably play the human rights card there as well.
Yes, that is an issue that they could do that. Let me go to Jude. Jude, you're on 98 FM. How are you?
Not too bad at all, Derby.
Grand, you, your point is, I'm just reading your text, why should the show not be anti-drug user? So you agree with the idea of banning them from public transport?
If they're using drugs on the transport, yes. As I said, you said earlier on, you said, why shouldn't the show be anti-drug user? If someone who is a drug addict or drug abuser, should that sort of person be endorsed or promoted? Like, what's wrong with being anti-drugs?
No, I'm not saying. I didn't want to come down hard on them, but from what I've seen from opening this camp.
Why should you apologise for coming down hard on them?
Well, I'm not apologising. No, what I'm seeing on the screen now from people is that most of the incidents of antisocial behaviour that are coming to us involve drug users. Here's another message. I agree with what you're saying there. I was on a bus 6 weeks ago, and a junkie got on board the bus and started abusing all the passengers. They were afraid to confront the person in case they had a needle on them. What was this person doing on a bus? Well, they're entitled to travel on public transport. So you want to see a ban as well, Jude?
No, not if someone is using drugs on the transport, say the tram or whatever, the bus or whatever, they should, because they don't care about anyone else's safety or well-being. All they're interested is them. So, like, if I was on a tram or on the Lewis and I was drunk, wouldn't I be kicked off straight away? I could even be arrested, or I could even be charged with drunk and disorderly.
Providing there was somebody there to actually kick you off, yes.
Yes, I should be, and quite rightly so. And who'd have any sympathy for it's wrong. I shouldn't be in that state on that boat. Why should, just because they're drug abusers, why should they have to be pandered to when the rest of us have to conform to the law of not...
Okay, well, there's two answers here, Jude. Two answers here, Jude. A, because they have an addiction, okay? Albeit an addiction that they probably brought on themselves, but they have an addiction. And B, because they are entitled to use public transport, the key word there being public, and they are members of the public.
Yeah, and I said they should be able to use that. They should, if they're not using drugs on that transport.
Okay, so okay, hang on a sec. So, Jude, you don't have a problem with somebody being on the loose who's out of their face on drugs once they're not taking the drugs on the loose?
Oh, I do. That's what I mean. If they're not using, and as long as we weren't using before or on the thing, of course, I would. I just should be, because like, if you were hurt, I was a drug user on the train or the tram, whatever, and I hurt you or hurt your family or whatever. It's wrong. Why should you be hurt just because I'm a drug user? Should there be more sympathy towards me just because I'm a drug user?
No,
of course. I should be pandered to her an excuse.
No, of course not. I find the idea, and I find it quite intimidating myself when I'm on the Lewis. And I've often been on the Lewis on the Red Line, heading up by the forecourts, just past Houston Station there, and you would see several addicts. And I've never seen somebody openly using drugs on the Lewis. But you'd see several addicts on the loose, and it can be quite intimidating. I'm sure it is for women who are on their own, or elderly women who are on their own. So let me just, to get your point clear, do you want to see people who are just caught using drugs on the loose taken off, or people who are drug addicts? Because there's a big difference.
People who have used or displaying drug behaviour of drug abuse, being antisocial, just like anyone else who's been antisocial, regardless whether they're using drugs, they should be banned. Of course they should. And I know it's gas. The taxpayers, people like you, me, and everyone else who aren't drug addicts, are actually paying for their subsidising their free transport. There's another kick in the balls for you. They're allowed on it free, but it's not. You have to pay.
But not all of them get free transport, but some of them do. Yes, if they have a medical card or it's seen as a disability.
Yeah, and most drug addicts would have a medical card.
You're not showing a lot of... Let me just read out a message to you. That man has absolutely no sympathy in his veins. He obviously has no members of his family that are addicted to drugs.
No, I don't. Why is that so unusual to have no members of your family addicted to drugs? Why should I have sympathy for someone who took that choice?
I assume the point they're making, that if you had someone in your family who's addicted to drugs, you might have a different attitude towards it.
No, because most of my members of my family have the same attitude as me. And if any member, if I would drop anyone who was a drug addict, like a bad habit, why would I want to be associated?
Okay, I know. I got your feelings on drugs. Stay there for a second, please, Jude. 6797 981 is our telephone number. Text or WhatsApp your opinions to 0877 98 98 98. There's a huge reaction coming into this. It's an interesting angle we're taking on it. We were talking about the violence on public transport and people being intimidated, and lots of messages coming in saying the intimidation a lot of the time is being caused by people who are on drugs and are out of their face and just causing trouble. Jude is saying that we should keep them off public transport. Is that fair? Is that fair? You know, I'm just thinking of an addict that their only way of getting into town, maybe they live in Crumlin, and their only way of getting into town every day is to get the Lewis from one of the stops near Crumlin all the way into the city centre. And we're just to say, no, sorry, John, the drug addict, you're not allowed to use the Lewis anymore because people are too intimidated by you. How many people agree with Jude's opinion? I'd love to hear from you now. Call us now, 6797 981. And stay there for a second, Jude. A couple of people want to talk to you.
98 FM's Dublin Talks
with Des Kelly Interiors. Huge January sale now on in all departments.
98 FM.
It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Jeremy Dixon here until midday today. Our telephone number is 6797981. Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. We're talking about the increase in violence and antisocial behaviour on public transport and what can be done. And then we sort of went off on a segue there about drug addicts being on public transport and the suggestion that they should be refused access to public transport unless they clean up their act. I want to go to someone who would know a lot about this, and that is Fran, because Fran, you're a Dublin bus driver, is that correct?
That's right, Jeremy. How are you?
I'm not too bad at all. I have to be honest with you, Fran. I have friends who are bus drivers as well, and I feel sorry for them because they tell me some of the stories of the stuff they witness on a daily basis, and it's horrific. What route are you on, are you allowed to say?
I can tell you what route I'm on. I'm on the 122 bus. It goes from Cabra through town out to the south side, and Children's Hospital and Crumlin is where it ends up.
Yeah, it's quite a long route actually, up through Drimna, right up the back of Drimna there.
Yeah, that's the one.
How much?
Now, most of the time on those, 99% of the travellers and passengers on the bus, there's no problem whatsoever. People are courteous, they ask you questions where to go, but there is an element of people that get on the bus with drink and drugs and stuff. But the drug users that get on the bus most times are going from one place to another to get a fix and back again. Most times, 99% of the time, they don't actually shoot up or take drugs on the bus. They go to a secure area, either a house or a laneway or wherever they are. People that are drug dealers use the bus as a mule. They get on, for argument's sake, just say in Cabra, or they go get on in Drimna, and they travel over to the other side of the city, knowing full well that they're not going to be stopped, knowing full well that a guard in a checkpoint as you go through is not going to check who the passengers are in the bus. So they're safe on the bus. They're using the buses as a means of transport, let's say. I know it is a transport system, so they know they're not going to get caught. So if they get in their car and they're driving with some drugs from one point to another, the guards might know the car and stop them and say, "I'm going to search your car." So they know that the dangerous part they have is waiting at the bus stop to get onto the bus is they're seen by the guards. Once they're on the bus, they're safe. And we see that every bus driver, even listening to this programme will know exactly what I mean.
Literally using the bus as a mule to go from A to B, to avoid guarded detection.
Absolutely. Every single day it happens.
And how do you know, or how can you spot someone who's a drug dealer on the bus?
Well, it's kind of not to be like it's easy to spot them because they're twitchy, and they're anxious getting on the bus, and they have their hands in their pocket and they're holding onto it like it's gold. You know them, you can spot them a mile away. And another thing that they do as well, when they get on the bus, they pay the right fare for the simple reason that if an inspector gets on and asks them for a ticket, they don't want to get into a confrontation with the inspector where they say, well, you haven't paid your fare, let's get the guards involved. So they get on the bus and they'll ask you how much it is in town, and you'll tell them it's €3 or whatever the case may be in the fare, or they'll have that leave card and they'll pay the leave card because they don't want to get into a confrontation with the driver or with an inspector.
Okay, so because they're going about their daily business dealing drugs, they don't want to attract attention, so they're no hassle to you. I mean, it is scary to think that you could be sitting on the 122 or the 123 or any bus for that matter, and you could be sitting beside somebody that's a drug dealer. Now, obviously, it's not your job to stop them. You can't accuse somebody getting on the bus. You can't accuse somebody on the bus of being a drug dealer, so you just have to sit back and take it. But what about attacks on the bus? Have you had rocks thrown at your windows?
I've never been physically attacked, thank God, but I've had plenty of smashed windows. I've been threatened. One time I've been threatened to be shot on the bus. I've been spat at, but not actually spat at the screen. Thank God we have a screen and stuff. But it's just, I remember when I first joined the job, someone said to me, to be a bus driver, you have to have the patience of a saint and a skin like a rhinoceros. Because when they insult you, they're not actually insulting you as a person, they're insulting the uniform. So when you put on your uniform, it's like a shield, I suppose you could think. When you take it off, you leave the job at home, or you don't bring it home with you. But what I'd say to people that are listening to the programme, that if you're on the bus and someone it's not so much a problem now, but it used to be huge a while ago, people smoking. If you have a problem, go down to the driver. Tell the driver there's somebody upstairs. If there's somebody upstairs being loud or in trouble, trying to push a window out or having an argument, tell the driver. The driver will be able to stop the bus, ring control, and they will call the guards.
I don't know if you saw the video from Lucan there on New Year's Eve or what happened.
No, I only heard the programme here on the way home. I'm actually finished work, I'm just driving home.
Yeah, absolutely terrifying. And from what I believe, the bus driver played a great out role because he got all the passengers on board and got them safe while this was happening. And if it weren't for the bus driver, God only knows what would have happened. But in the space, I'd say, of the last 2 years, let's say talk about the last 2 years, how many items have been thrown at your window of your bus?
I had 2 broken windows. One was a windscreen where someone threw a stone and burst the windscreen, and another was someone fired, I think it would have been a pellet gun through one of the windows upstairs at Leonard's Corner.
Really?
That, though, yeah. It was a pellet upstairs. Someone had fired from some window.
That is a deliberate act. That's not an accident. That is somebody that
absolute wanton vandalism. Yeah.
Yeah, that is somebody that bought a pellet gun, stood at Leonard's Corner, waiting for your bus to come by and shot it up at the window there.
Well, I think they're actually higher up. They were in a house or on a balcony or something and shot it because of the height that I came through the window.
And is it something that's in the back of your mind, Fran, when you're driving through certain areas that, Jesus, the window could come in any minute?
No, not really, because I think if I felt like that, I wouldn't get into the bus every day. But every day, I actually worry more about having an accident, about cyclists. That's another topic you could talk about. Cyclists or pedestrians and walking out front of a bus. I worry more about that potential of an accident every day. So I'm more thinking of driving safely and getting passengers to their destination rather than people getting on the bus with antisocial behaviour.
What's the issue with... No, it's a completely different topic, but I'm just interested. What's the issue with cyclists? Did they cause mayhem for bus drivers?
Well, I have a theory that every day I avoid a potentially serious accident where I could have actually squashed and killed at least one cyclist a day.
Really?
Absolutely. Because they don't obey red lights. They wander out onto the road, and then when you bypass them, they look at you as if you've done something wrong, and they're like, we call them weaver boards, weaving in and out and up on footpaths, down off footpaths, but that's a different story. So,
No, it is, but it might be something we'll talk about tomorrow. But they have more cycle lanes than ever before, so why is this still happening? Why are they weaving in and out of your bus?
Cycle lanes, that's that lovely things that are painted on the sides of the road that cyclists ignore. Now, I'm not on cyclists back here, I'm a cyclist and a motorcyclist. Plus, I drive a bus where I live in. But it's not the majority of cyclists stay in the cycle lanes. The people you see that are kitted out, guy wearing the helmet, the high-vis vest, he's got lights. That's the person that you know when you're driving up behind him, that they're going to be, okay, he's not going to do something stupid. It's the rented bikes.
Okay, so what...
guys are wearing all black in the night time, cycling on, and oblivious to everything else on the road.
So you're saying on a daily basis, and as I said, this is something we'll come to tomorrow because this is an issue I've seen as well. On a daily basis, you nearly squash one cyclist every day because of them swerving in and out of you, in and out of the traffic.
Every bus driver does, and there's 900 plus buses on the road. So that's 900 potential squashing of a cyclist on the road every single day.
And in every example, and I'm only taking your word for it, in every example, is it the cyclist that's at fault?
It's very hard to generalise because every case will be an individual case, but the majority, and I would say the majority being 90% of the time, yeah. You see, people see a bus and they say it's an immovable object because it's so big and it doesn't look like it's moving very fast. But a bus can accelerate up to 47 miles an hour. Now, I know it doesn't do that in the city, but a bus is travelling at 30 miles an hour, and because it's such a large object, it doesn't look like it's moving very fast. But a bus empty weighs 10 tonnes. So you try and get a bus that's empty. Now, with passengers, it's 15 tonnes. You try and get a bus that weighs 15 tonnes to stop, where cyclists can just dart out in front of you, 5 feet in front of you. The bus is just not going to stop.
It's been fascinating talking to you, Fran, and it's given me a great insight into what you see on the roads. And as I said, it's something we'll talk about tomorrow. Just one final message there, Fran, about your bus route, the 122. I was on the 122 coming down the Mourne Road, and someone ran out of nowhere with a pole and threw the pole straight through the front window. Absolutely terrifying. That was a few years back now, says that person. The best of luck. I don't envy the job you do, Fran, to be honest with you. It's getting more and more difficult because there's more and more little tow rags out there who are willing to... I mean, and that is, as Fran says, it's wanton vandalism. It's like, we're bored. What we do, we'll go out and throw stuff at buses. Seriously, get a life. That is something I promise we'll come back to tomorrow about the whole cyclist bus issue. That's terrifying to hear that he nearly squashes one cyclist every single day. That's one bus driver. Let me go to one last call on this, and that is Stephen. How are you, Stephen?
Good, Jeremy. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. What do you want to say about this, Stephen?
If I was a bus driver, Jeremy, I wouldn't be getting involved. You know what I mean? Like, if I was to stop a fella that has a needle in his pocket and he gets rowdy with me and sticks it in my neck, my life's not worth it. You know what I mean?
Well, bus drivers aren't allowed, by the rules, they're not allowed to leave their little area there. They're not allowed to get involved in anything like that. They have to radio it into the control and to contact the guards. So I don't think any driver is going to get out. So that makes it pretty impossible, as you say, to stop someone getting on board a bus.
Yeah, there's going to be a security guard there, and then he gets attacked for not letting them on. It's such a grey area, you know what I mean? Then you've got the human rights thing as well, all that. It'd be impossible to do, I think, Jeremy.
So how do we stop someone using public transport that's carrying needles, that's going to inject themselves?
I don't know. The police must need to patrol around bus stops more often, maybe. It's a tough one. I don't know how you do it, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know either, but I do know, looking from the messages that came in today, that it is a big problem. Thanks very much, Stephen. What an idiot that busman is, says this person who never answers their phone when you try to ring them. You could have put that point to him yourself. The busman has no evidence that people are using the buses to move drugs, yet you allowed him to say anything. Sorry, he believes that on his bus, and I've asked him how he knows. You obviously weren't listening very clearly to the show. He explained how he knows these people are using buses as drug mules to go from A to B. And in fact, there's another message. I have a friend who's a bus driver, and I've witnessed the same thing that man is talking about. Regularly says drug dealers use the buses because that way they won't get stopped at a Garda checkpoint. This is well known within Dublin. But of course, we know we're idiots. We know nothing. Do we? Anyway, I promise you I will come back to that discussion tomorrow about the cyclists and the buses and who is causing more of a scourge on the roads. That has been 98 FM's Dublin Talks for this Wednesday. Hope you enjoyed the show. If there's something you want brought up on tomorrow's show, the best way to do it is contact us on Facebook. Facebook.com/Adrian K and Jeremy D. Facebook.com/Adrian K and Jeremy D. If there's anything happening in your world, happening in your area that you think we should be talking about on the show, that's how the best way to do it. Facebook us. Facebook.com/Adrian K and Jeremy D. Thanks for listening to the show today. I'll talk to you tomorrow morning for Thursday's show. Have a great Wednesday.